the theme is modern news website. So modern news website, that is the theme. Both teams are going to have to stick to that particular theme. Alright, I'm going to start off by reading all of the objectives starting from number uno. So objective uno, have your website scroll left and right only using the mouse scroll wheel. I think that's pretty self-explanatory. Objective number 2, load at least 20 unique articles from any news website in 2 rows and style it in a square format. So that's objective number 2. Objective number 3, hovering over a news article makes it flip around in 3D, showing a backside. So that is objective number 3. Objective number 4, style every 5th article different from the rest. So that's going to kind of show off some CSS skills there. And then lastly, we have objective number 5, and if you notice, it is highlighted in an orange color there, well, yellowish color kind of. And what that means is that is a bonus objective. And a bonus objective is worth 2 points as opposed to 1. And also, the only way you can achieve the bonus objective is if you complete all 4 objectives. So that is how you do it. Alright, here we go. I'm going to do a 10-second countdown and then we're going to start the game. Alright, here we go. So 10, mods, count down with me. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, bam! Alright, so we got that 5-second countdown up in here, and it is counting down. We do see some activity right off the bat on that red team, so shout out to the red team for making it happen. Alright, man, what is this song though right now? What is this song? It's too calm. It's too calm. There's no bass at all. Alright. So, you know, if we look at the code now, we notice that blue and red, they're a bit even on their HTML. I mean, perfectly even at the moment. Well, not perfectly, because blue team has their doc type. Well, they're kind of, I think they got a bit nervous based off the time. They have an extra doc type there. I mean, you know, that's cool. Red team still needs to add their doc type if they want to be perfectly correct with their code. Alright, so, and on the blue team, let's start off with the CSS. We notice that we have that box sizing border box applied to everything. I mean, come on guys, priorities, really, like, I think that Mr. Dude 12, who is handling that CSS on the blue team, has his priorities super straight right now. A couple people are concluding that Potato is nervous, and I think that's a pretty good conclusion, because I mean, like, if you've never played here on DevWars, you should know that, I mean, 60 minutes, number 1, is not enough time, and 2, it is super nerve-wracking, like, to play DevWars. I mean, I've had a couple people tell me that their hands were shaking during the actual game, and I thought that was pretty funny. But I mean, like, if you think about it, I mean, really, there's a lot of people who are watching the game, and it's like they feel that while they're coding. They're like, oh man, I better not screw up. People are gonna make fun of me if I do something bad. But that's not really the case. They don't gotta worry about stuff like that. So I think Potato's actually doing a great job, given that it's his first time playing. I mean, he's got his JavaScript imported, he's got his link imported. I mean, his doc type is a bit still, like, not quite perfect, but I mean, that's the only thing that I would point out from him. On the red team's HTML, it looks like we're adding article tags. Those are HTML5 elements that he is adding to his HTML, and I think that's super cool. Super awesome job. In the CSS on the blue team, he is adding a margin reset on the body as opposed to the all selector. That's completely fine. However, on the red team, it looks like they added the border box sizing and margin and padding resets on their CSS. I think that's quite simple and common to assume. Yeah, so for those of you guys who are asking right now in the chat, they are speaking right now in TeamSpeak, so if you want to find out you know, what they're talking about at the moment, you could go ahead and type !TS in the chat. Our bot will simply output the link to you of ts.devwars.tv. That is the link you need to use to connect to our TeamSpeak. And you are more than welcome to listen in on either the blue team or the red team, or you could simply hang out in the lobby and talk with other, you know, fellow web designers. Alright, now we have a bunch of articles in the, you know, HTML element or HTML document for the red team. However, and I want to point this out because someone mentioned in the chat that, you know, I mean, obviously that's a lot of articles to be adding for something that's supposed to be dynamic. And it's like, I think what red team's idea might be is that they might want to have their CSS guys style it before they turn it dynamic, because keep in mind, JavaScript is going to take some time to make this actual, make the dynamic process actually happen. So, I think red team's being mindful, and Victoria in particular is being mindful that their CSS needs time to style it as their JavaScript prepares the actual functions to make the pulls from the news websites. All right. So on the blue team, we are importing a font of Lato. Up here at the top, we see that import function, and we are using Lato on everything in the body. So as far as we're concerned, we are using Lato on the blue team's website. However, on the red team's website, we are using Roboto, and that's a super popular font. That's a font that's especially preferred by Google. Obviously, I mean, they have huge favoritism, especially with their material design that they've recently been, that controversy over, you know, material design. So now, someone asked, what is DevWars? Now, I think the best way to describe what DevWars is here is that DevWars is simply a live game show where you can watch two teams, blue and red, battle each other for 60 minutes to create the best website. And the cool thing is that you, the audience, gets to vote on which team has the best design and which team has the best functionality. And all these factors accumulates to their total score to determine who is the winner. So, I mean, that, in a nutshell, is what DevWars is. Alright, so we're going to go back over to the blue team's website. In their HTML, we see that we have that H1, so that's essentially their title. Modern news of modernness. I think they're having a bit fun here. I think that's super fine. And then down here we have this content class. You know what I find super interesting from Potato is that he's adding a space between his exclamation, in between his class attribute and his equal sign. And you know, I've never seen that before in HTML. I'm actually quite curious to see if that is even you know, applicable in HTML. You know, I wouldn't be surprised if it is, but you know, these are one of those things that are different. You know, I mean, we see plenty of web developers code here, and you know, they all have different styles. We've even seen CSS developers who've came on this show who've added all their properties on a single line. Now, I mean, those are probably the most unique CSS designers that we've seen, you know, period. I mean, I wouldn't do that, but I mean, some people are more comfortable that way, so some things to keep in mind. as far as CSS, I think it's no doubt that Red Team is a bit more organized in a sense that they are using tabs to signify. Well, actually, it's been interesting here because, yeah, pretty much anytime that Red Team is tabbing, that means that they are targeting a selector that is within that parent. So, for example, the body element right here that I'm highlighting right there, that is inside of the HTML tag that's in the DOM. So, I mean, you can see that obviously right here. And we have that bit of consistency throughout his selectors on his CSS, so that's super cool. Also, if you look at the HTML right now on the Red Team, you can see that they have these next and previous IDs, and at the same time you can see that also reflected here on the JavaScript on the Red Team. So what that tells me is that they are planning to complete that bonus objective. Now what I always recommend is that, you know, both teams do not focus on that bonus objective unless they are for certain that they can complete all 4 objectives, because that's the only way they can complete that bonus objective. Lake has just asked, can you clarify a game role in 60 minutes to get a web app deployed, or are the final products compared on localhost? They're doing it on Cloud9, so everything that they're doing here is live. You can even watch what they're doing by typing in !live code, and you can watch in your own browser this code, and you can scroll wherever you want, whenever you want. It's super cool. We provide a lot of tools to enhance your viewing experience. So down here in the blue team, we did add media queries. Well, a selector for it. So it's this open selector with a minimum width of 900 pixels. So all that tells me is that blue team is mindful of what their media queries or responsive website is going to look like. And we are going to use, you know, the device mode on Google Chrome in order to see the mobile view. "49 minutes and 30 seconds left on the clock." A lot of time. Check this out. Look at this. I think this is quite funny. On the blue team, I'm highlighting right there. We have this .com after this HTML tag. I mean, I don't know what Potato is doing with that. But I think what you guys can definitely do is tune into our TeamSpeak, which is simply ts.devwars.tv. I mean, it's super simple. We did eliminate that port number that was there originally, thanks to Dirk, of course. And, you know, it's that way you guys can easily remember what that URL is and not have to ask the bot. Let's take a look at the website now. We're going to actually refresh both blue and red. Let's start off with the blue team's website. So on the blue team's website, this is what we have going on up in here. We have that Modern News of Modernist H1 tag right there. You can see that that's what that's displaying. And then down here we have that random.com text that we mentioned over here on the blue team's HTML. After that HTML tag, I think that's a mistake, but we'll have to see, you know, what's happening later on in the code. I mean, only 12 minutes has passed, not very much time. Let's take a look at the red team now. So I'm going to go ahead and switch gears. Alright, this is the red team's website. As far as HTML and overall visuals, it looks like a red team does have more things going on visually. I think that's something we could conclude with. If you guys are fans of Season 1 of DevWars, I think you would understand what I mean when I say that I would say that Red Team is on fire right now. Unfortunately, we do not have the animation that we normally would use in that scenario, but we're just going to pretend like the Red Team just bursted out into flames. But yeah, so anyways, we have this black element here. I think these are going to be the previous and next buttons. Yes, they are. because I am highlighting them in the inspect element, and you can see here that indeed that these are the next and previous buttons. Keep in mind that we have 2 minutes left to bet, so if you want to bet, type !bet, the amount of dev bits you want to bet, and then what team you want to bet towards. Alright, back to the code. Back to the code, boys and girls. So in the HTML on the blue team, we're going to go kind of left and right here. So in the HTML on the blue team, it doesn't look like we have much. I mean, if we look, we have this class. It's kind of overall containing everything, but we don't have a class name assigned to that just yet. We do have a header, so that's cool. We have that heading H1. We did see that earlier. We have a UL tag, so that hints that probably they're going to have a navigation bar right there. You know, navigation bars are quite commonly used a lot in web design with a UL tag. So that's probably what he's doing there, given the fact that it is nested inside of the nav class element or class. Yeah. And then over here, it looks like we have quite a bit of closing tags here. I think this is a mistake. Yeah, I think this is a mistake. I think he has too much closing tags here. And then down here, if you look, we have... Whoa. If you look, we have some sort of Java or library that's imported from Cloudflare, and we have jQuery that's imported, and we have the of course the JavaScript file and the CSS file from their teammates that activates their teammates quite simply. If we look at the CSS now on the blue team, let's see what he's working on. It looks like he's focusing quite a bit on that content. He didn't make it a background white, which is generally what it's supposed to be by default. But if you look up here, he did change the default to F4, so that's why he had to redeclare that the background should be indeed FFF, which is white, on that content, and he actually just got rid of that there. Now he did give it a padding of 15 pixels. That is going to give it some breathing room between every other element that's on the website. He gave it a width of 95%, and he centered it by using margin 0 auto. He also gave it a minimum height of 500 pixels. Now that content div is probably where they're going to actually hold all of their articles. We did see in the HTML that Potato did correct those closing divs on his HTML. We did see quite a bit of closing divs, and I pointed out earlier that had to have been a mistake. Now in the Blues JavaScript, we can see that they are pulling their RSS feed, which is essentially where all their articles are going to be coming from this website called daringfireball.net. And they're using all kinds of functions to make that happen, such as load feed and load feeds, and you know, init, which is going to initialize the load feeds function that we saw earlier up here. And they are definitely taking advantage of JavaScript. Now, or jQuery rather. Let's take a look at Red Team now. So Red Team, they do have quite a bit of HTML, I'm not going to lie. One of the biggest things to note here is that they do have a head start on the article data. Now, one of the biggest things to understand here is that the article on Red Team is indeed static. Now, that doesn't mean that they are behind, because you can see that, you know, Blue Team has the articles. They're already getting pretty much prepared to have those articles being loaded dynamically, whereas Red Team do not have any JavaScript at all to make anything happen on their website. However, Red Team Victoria 9, who is handling HTML, is adding those static article elements in order to give their CSS 25th, who is handling that. the ability to go ahead and style it to make sure what it's supposed to look like before it does become dynamic, so that way they can have a head start. Now if we take a look at this HTML, we can, oh, my bad. Okay, so if we look at the HTML here, we can see that it has a header. We have a logo within the header. We are using place hold it currently. Alright, now we have an H1 heading inside of that header, which is Modern News Website, which is word for word what the theme is. Let's take a look at the CSS on the red team now. Holy crap, they got quite a bit. I mean, you can see that they're tabbing a lot, and that makes it very easy for a human to go through and be like, oh, I understand what's going on here. You see every tab represents that selector is within that parent that it's above. So that's super cool. You can see that red team 25th has already begun working on that 3D flip for those articles, which is objective number 3. So I think that's cool to see that he is working ahead of time there. It does look like blue team is ahead on the JavaScript, but not by much. I mean, yeah, red team is a bit behind for sure, but that doesn't mean that he can't catch up in 39 minutes, or 40 minutes rather, if you ran up. There's still a lot of time. I mean, a lot of time. Alright, I think it's enough time to go ahead and refresh the website now and see what they're working on. Let's go ahead and look at the blue team's website. Take a look. This is the blue team's website. We have the H1 heading right there. We do have a UL element right there, and if I bring this up here, you can see that we have nothing inside of these ULs. Now what blue team might want to do is simply add a very obvious selector called list style none, if I can type, and that'll simply get rid of those bullet points. Now they might want it, but I doubt it, and that what they're most likely going to have to do is make these a list item display inline block, because by default they are a display block, and all that means is that those list items are going to share its own line. And generally, given the fact that it is inside of the header, all of this information, I think that suggests that they are probably going to want each of those list items to be on their own line. Let's go ahead and not lowercase, but drag that down. If you notice, we have this hover effect. I think what that suggests is that maybe blue team is working on the front and back side of that 3D effect for objective number 3. I think that's what they're working on. Someone in the chat mentioned that there is a triangle in the DevWars logo, and they're confirming Illuminati. By that, well, crap, you got us figured out. We have to come up with a new logo now. You're supposed to be super secretive. What? Can one of my mods please confirm to me what this whole SWAP thing is about with Epinets? I have no idea what's going on. What's SWAP stand for? Oh, swap? Is it just swap? Is it just straight up if you read it? Okay, so let me clarify what happened here. So the player who was handling JavaScript on the red team did disconnect, and we might have what we call a speed test, and to verify that your connection is stable on our Warrior registration page in the future. That is what we're looking forward to, because we do need a minimum internet requirement in order to play DevWars, because obviously we've had scenarios in the past where people have been unable to actually connect to C9 simply because of their internet. But thank you so much for Epinance, for filling in on the red team. I think that's super awesome of him, and he's already making it happen in the JavaScript. But if we look at the website right now, you can see that they have a lot going on. I mean, nothing very self-explanatory at the moment. You can't really see what's going on completely, but I would say that these are article images. Oh, take a look at this. When you hover over it, these flip over horizontally. That means that they are currently working on the 3D effect. And Savham just mentioned about my internet problem last week. Hey, please do not bring up my past on me. That's pretty disrespectful. I don't even know what you're talking about. Who knows what Savham is talking about? I know I don't. Let's go back over to the game code page. Now, there is 35 minutes and 35 seconds left on the clock. That felt pretty cool to say, 35 minutes and 35 seconds. Let's look at the blue team's HTML now. For Potato being 15 years old, he did express his age earlier. He is, in fact, 15 years old. I think that's impressive to see that he is, competing against some highly skilled players, and he's doing very well. I mean, you can see a 15-year-old is doing very well in DevWars. I told him earlier, please do not let your age discourage you from playing, because I am going to give Terrence a shout out right now. Terrence is a 16-year-old, and he is our official backend developer on DevWars.tv, and he coded the entire thing out of Java. And so there should be no discrimination at all in the web development world. So yeah, I mean, Potato is doing a good job adding all this HTML elements in order for his teammates to style and give functionality towards. Alright, so we are going to add a bit of time to the overall game because of that whole, downtime that red team had. I think it's fair to compensate both teams with extra time. And you can see that happened on the screen. You can see that we did compensate them with extra 5 minutes. And that is going to, compensate for that time that red team had lost because their JavaScript developer, got disconnected. So hopefully this is good news to some of you viewers. You're like, wow, more time to view DevWars. Heck yeah. Now, King mentioned, why would you code the backend in Java though? Only language he knew? No, actually he knows PHP and JavaScript. He's actually quite knowledgeable in all aspects, but I would say Java is one of his strongest points, and I think I'm actually quite glad we went with the Java route, because the website is in the backend quite beautiful. There is so much we have planned, such as the bit shop that we're going to be launching here very, very, very shortly. I know you guys are very eager to spend your dev bits. In fact, why don't we go ahead and encourage all of you viewers right now to go ahead and type the devbits command right now in the chat. So that is !devbits. Go ahead and show off how many devbits you have currently sitting in your pocket. Let's see who has the most. So while we're waiting on that, You can see on the blue team CSS, they are currently working on those media queries. Oh man, Custodian's sitting at 8,000 dev bits. 8,000 dev bits. By the way, you guys are earning dev bits by simply watching the show. Dude, Custodian has 8K up in here. Who can top that? My dad has 935 dev bits. That's still a lot. Not quite 8,000, but someone just asked me how old am I? I am 22 years old. I'm turning 23 here shortly. Here in September. If we look here on the JavaScript on the blue team, we notice that we have, you know, I think the same amount of functions. The only thing I noticed differently here is that we are adding this Ajax a bit here that we did not see before. Dirk has 9,000. Man, 9,000 dev bits. And of course, if you look at our bits later, obviously you can see that M cut. So bad at reading names, but M cut. That's his nickname for now. He has 24,000 dev bits. What? How do you do that? But yeah, so I think it's time to go ahead and look at the websites now. Let's go ahead and look at the blue team's website. If you look, we have, you know, I'm going to zoom out. Oh, you can't even zoom out. You can't even scroll left and right. I think that suggests that maybe blue team has overridden the ability to zoom in and stuff like that. Oh, sorry, I lied. I lied to you guys. I bought a new keyboard. I actually bought a Razer keyboard, and it's a Chroma keyboard, and I keep accidentally, mistakenly pressing N5, the macro key, instead of control, because I'm used to the control key being on the far left corner, bottom left corner of the keyboard, but that is not the fact with the Razer keyboard, obviously, so I'm still getting used to that. But anyways, you can see that we have two articles in here, and when you hover over it, we have, like, you know, it turns green currently, but I'm sure that's not what Mr. Dude, who is handling CSS, is planning for now. I mean, I'm sure he just has a green just to make sure that it is working, his selector. However, one thing I can conclude that is that JavaScript did replace that standard scroll option. Let's take a look at the red team now. Let's look at their website. Oh man, look at that. When you hover over each of these tiles, you can see that they have the articles flipping over in 3D space, and it looks great. They even have quite a bit of a perspective here. I mean, unless I'm tripping. I think I'm tripping. Oh my god, I'm tripping. I thought it had like kind of like a tilt to it, but nah, not at all. Yeah, Wolves, please, you're kind of late here, man. You should probably just get out now. I'm just kidding. I love you. Wolves, please is definitely a veteran of DevWars, and I love him to death. Glad you can tune in here. But yeah, I mean, this looks good. We have all these articles. I think as soon as, you know, Red Team makes this a scroll left and right website, I think this will look great. And then we have these left and right buttons down here. That's what these are. I mean, nothing to see there just yet. Let's go ahead and go back to the code now. So if you look at the timer, there's 32 minutes and 30 seconds left on the clock. So we're about halfway through the game right now. So mega hype, mega hype. So, do we have any donations up in here? Like, if you guys support DevWars, we do have a donation link. And all donation proceeds will go to, you know, keeping our website up, keeping C9, because we are paying for C9, what you're currently looking at right now, in order to, you know, host the project, you know, environment and such and such. Super cool. And also marketing. I mean, all kinds of stuff. Now, if we look over here on the blue team, we have about 94 lines of CSS over here, so that is mega awesome. A lot of what we see here is, you know, selectors that have to do with the article selector. And we're just simply adding specificity toward that, so that's awesome. Down here, we have, what is blue team working on in their JavaScript? They have to catch up because they were quite behind earlier. Yeah, Freak Spot, we definitely read out the objectives. I believe there is a minimum of $5, so if you donated $1, you might not see your donation pop up here on the stream. I'm gonna skip this song. It's pretty, it's too gangster for me up in here, you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna skip this song too. I don't pick these songs, you know, I never hear these songs. We used to have a DJ, you know. What? Fun is Dangerous is up in here from Greece. I'll have you know, I am half Greek. My last name is Somas, and that is a Greek last name. So shout out to Funis, Dangerous. My dad's Greek as well, so shout out to you. Anyways, if we look at the HTML on the blue team, I would say that Potato, I mean, for being 15 years old, again, we're not discriminating here. He's doing a great job adding all these articles in here. We do have to have a minimum of 20 unique articles. 20 unique articles. We have a section of front and back. I'm actually quite curious to find out whether or not he has the flip animation added. Let's go ahead and go to the blue team's website. Check it out. We have a flip animation. However, if you would notice, we haven't yet, we aren't yet able to actually have a unique style on the backside. Now, what I mean by that is that we see, like, you know, actual verbiage, article verbiage in here. We currently see that the actual entire div is just completely flipped around. You know, we have these text over here, blah blah blah. Yeah, they're gonna have to change that. But if we zoom out here, you can see that they have definitely more than one article, or two articles, or four articles rather. They just don't have that left and right scroll working at the moment. Yeah, so make sure you guys are connecting to our TeamSpeak correctly. We did change our port number. We are now using just ts.devwars.tv. We did completely abolish that port number to make it a lot simpler for you guys to connect to. Let's take a look at the red team now. So this is the red team's website. It is still scrolling up and down. They do need to change that if they are looking to complete that objective number 1. Okay, I am definitely not tripping this time. We do have a bit of a perspective here. It's not just flipping left and right. It's kind of having a bit of a, yeah, tilt to it at a different angle. Anyways, let's go back over to the code. So we have 27 minutes left on the clock. So for those of you who have betted, let us know in the chat how you feel about your bet. So if you bet it on the blue or red. Let us know in the chat if you feel a bit nervous or if you feel completely secure that you're gonna win. Alright, on the blue team's HTML, we are currently highlighting this article. I wonder what he's doing right here. I don't know. We'll keep an eye on him. As far as his JavaScript, we definitely have a lot more added here. Take a look at this. We did comment out all this stuff here, and what that means is that blue team is going to replace their JavaScript comment right here, probably with some dynamic information from their news website that they're pulling in here. And where did that go? They used to have a link here. Oh, they're pulling it in from Reddit. Oh man, from Reddit. Shout out to Reddit right now, or Deadit, as you guys should know. I don't think Reddit's gonna die, honestly. I think it's too good. I think Reddit is too strong right now. But if you look here, what he's probably going to do is just, you know, add the HTML that we see here, and I bet, no, never mind. It's gonna bet something. But anyways, I don't have any dev bits, so I can't bet anything. If we look right now on the red team's website, code, we see that they're definitely, you know, organizing their code just like blue team. They have their libraries added. If you look over here, they have specifically not just the jQuery library, but they have the mouse wheel library added as well. So that's cool. They have all their static articles down here. Let's see how Epidence is doing. Sorry, Custodian. I love you. You're all that I think about. That's why you're in my mind right now. But Epidence down here in JavaScript. Let's see what he's doing. He has this mouse wheel function. He's probably adding this to make it so it scrolls left and right. Down here we have the we're getting posts from suggesting in here. We're pulling from a Reddit as well. And some more functions down here. We're definitely pulling from Reddit based off the name of these functions. Cool. And we have these blank functions for the next and previous, and we are calling that get subreddits function down here. I think it is now time to go ahead and refresh both red and blue's website. So let's take a look at what blue team's website looks like. And wow, we do have a left and right scrolling website. Now you can't scroll left and right with the mouse by using the scroll wheel. However, I can very easily navigate using this scroll left and right thingy-majigger. So that's cool. When I hover over this, we're still getting that backwards effect. We're not actually getting a backside. Nestab asked, out of curiosity, why was Reddit account syncing disabled? The reason why we got rid of Reddit from our website was because it was buggy on Reddit's end, and so we just had to make the decision of removing it. Hope you guys understand. What was this? Other than that, let's go ahead and refresh the red team's website now and see where they're at. Okay, they're definitely a lot different than what I remembered it to look like. But one thing's for sure, they have the left and right scroll working. I mean, the mouse scroll works, and I can also use this. I don't see any extra content being actually added, you know, to the left and right past what we see here initially, but I'm sure we're gonna see that being fixed in the future. Back to the code. Now I'm gonna be right back, but I do want to encourage you guys to use our commands. You can see a list of our commands right below the channel stream if you are on your desktop. Now I want you guys to not just be aware of it, but use them. I mean, we have watch red, watch blue, and live code. Those are our commands that you guys can use, and the bot will spit out a URL for you guys to utilize to enhance your viewing experience. So keep in mind as I be right back. Alright, 19 minutes on the clock. 19 minutes and 40 seconds to be exact. How many views are we at right now? Can someone let me know in the chat where we're at statistically up in here? Let's start over here on the blue team, see where they're at. I mean, they only have 105 lines of code. Only, yeah, I know. That's kind of a lot, but let's see what they have going on here. So currently, Mr. Dude, probably Potato right here. No, that's not Potato. Mr. Dude is handling the CSS. He is allowed to, you know, select within the HTML and other stuff. That's completely fine. He just cannot add stuff to there. Let's find... okay, I lied. Obviously, Mr. Dude is the CSS guy, so obviously he is allowed to add stuff there. I'm a moron. Just ignore what I said there. For some reason, I thought it was HTML. I don't know why. So 110 viewers. That is super cool. Salutes to all of you guys. Love you. Much, much love. Let's take a look at the HTML now on the blue team. So Potato. Mr. Potato Head. He does have the next and previous buttons added. And he gave it an ID of next and previous. Makes sense. 18 minutes left on the clock. So we're nearly 3/4 of the way through the game here. You know, I mean, both teams have made a lot of progress. Let me know in the chat, which team do you guys think is going to ace all objectives? All ace means is that you complete all 5 objectives, including the bonus objective. Okay, so now if we look at the JavaScript, let's see what a Timmer is working on at the moment. You know, I don't see his selector anywhere here. He must be elsewhere. Yeah, he must be elsewhere. How about the CSS? Mr. Dude, what is he working on? He still has that query selector kind of blank. Alright, Mr. Dude's selector is right here on that row. And the row is there, and I think that's it. I was trying to see if there was the row class more than once, and it looks like the row does show up only once, and that is inside of the content div. And now all we can suggest is that based off the code is that the row is supposed to have a be like the inner of the content div. I mean, why else would you have it inside of there? So I mean, the only reason why I would assume that Blue Team would have the class of row inside of the content div is if they were planning on having it defined width on that and centering it. That's the only reason why I'd assume. Other than that, if they weren't planning on doing that, they can totally just get rid of that and be perfectly fine. How about the red team rather? Now in the red team, we are Victoria is currently highlighting all this code. I wonder why. No idea. We do have the row class here as well, but we are doing it multiple times. Okay, I understand why blue team may have had the class of row. Okay, yeah. If I scroll down a little bit more, I can see that blue team does have two classes of row. So obviously, what they're trying to accomplish there is objective number 2, which does require that they have 2 rows of articles. Yeah, so that's what that is. My bad. Check it out down here in the red team's HTML. We are adding some more JavaScript libraries. Well, at least I thought so. It looks like that is a complete duplicate. Well, he's changing it right now. So he's adding the custom scroll bar library from GitHub. And we are currently standing at 120 viewers. Jonathan asked if I'm going to be building anything on Syntag after DevWars today. Unfortunately not today, but perhaps tomorrow. Well, actually not tomorrow. I have church tomorrow. Perhaps Monday for sure, actually. I'm going to promise you on Monday. Now, Syntag, do you go to university or have a day job? Yeah, I own a company, and it is a web design firm called Blue Citrus, so you can check that out at bluecitrus.com. Now, blue is spelled without an E, so go ahead and check that out if you're interested. Let's go ahead and look at the websites. I mean, it's been a while since we actually tuned into both Blue and Red's websites. Let's take a look at Blue now. This is the Blue Team's website. Now, the scroll wheel doesn't work just yet, but I am able to scroll left and right manually by using this little scroll bar here, so that's completely fine. Now, when I hover over this, we are still getting a bit of a confusion here with the whole flip thing. I mean, technically, it's okay. The only thing they need to do really is make it so that this text isn't flipped around horizontally. I mean, I would say technically they did get the objective completed, but I don't know. Maybe they're not. Maybe Mr. Dude isn't too familiar with the whole transform, flipping thing. But awesome job. The next and previous button does not work just yet. Let's take a look at the red team now. 13 minutes left on the clock. Oh, crap. Alright, sorry. Red team. So on the red team, when you hover over each of these, it looks like it's a bit... Okay. It looked like it was a bit bugged at first, but looks like we're fine. We have Reddit boxes for each of these articles. When you hover over them, it simply shows the article title. Now, the whole the whole scroll wheel in general is disabled on this website. However, you can still manually override that by scrolling down with your mouse. And you can see they have an abundance of boxes here, but they still have yet to have the whole left and right feature that blue team was able to fulfill. Let's go back over to the code. Alright, so essentially 12 minutes left on the clock. I think that's a lot of time for both teams, especially since they've gotten the majority of the site done. I would say they got the core out of the way. You know, at this point it's just fine-tuning, and you would be surprised how much people can accomplish in that amount of time. From past games, you know, people have completely switched the game around within a couple minutes even. So anyways, we're going to take a look at the blue team's HTML. Let's see what Potato's doing here. It looks like we still have a bunch of static articles inside of here at the moment. How about on the blue team CSS? Still no properties inside of that query. If we scroll up a little more, Mr. Dude is inside of his body tag, and he is currently editing that font size 18 pixels last we saw. So I mean, not much going on at the moment on the blue team CSS. Now, what about the JavaScript? We are looking for that next and previous button. That is one of the things that we're waiting on, and I think that's what he's working on at the moment here. That, from what it looks like, yeah. What else are we waiting on the blue team for? Okay, so the whole card hovering thing, article hover, it is a bit bugged. I mean, it's flipping over, but the text is flipped over too, which is probably not what they want. Now, if we look on the red team's HTML, you can tell they got rid of all of the static HTML elements because they have it completely dynamic now, thanks to Epinitz, who's handling JavaScript on the red team. So they were able to remove that. And you can see in the JavaScript where Epinitz has the get post function from subreddit, and they're pulling all of these articles using this HTML element that was there originally that was static, and then he simply took that and put everywhere where it was supposed to be dynamic. And you could tell he even put a thumbnail variable inside of here, and he put the post data URL link and the post data title. So that's super cool, all these variables that were added inside of there. Whoa, what is this song? Alright, 8 minutes and 43 seconds. Alright. Funnest is asking where Nami is. That's a great question. I think this is a good time for the pup cam. I don't know. I think it's a good time. Let's go ahead and bring out the puppy. After I skip the song, though. Alright, hashtag pup cam. Let's bring out Nami. Alright, Nami. Let's be cool this time. Like, just relax, you know? Alright, there's like 120 viewers right now watching you. It's cool. It's cool. Them eyes, though. Look at that. Yeah, I mean, she's grown up really fast. I mean, she was like half the size about a week ago. But she's grown up. Pretty soon, I'm not going to be able to hold her and show you guys anymore because I'm not going to be able to physically carry her. And yeah, okay. No weak jokes, alright? Up in here. My dog is not evil. She's so sweet. Look at her. She's just so, like, calm right now. How can you say she's evil? Nami, don't listen to Bo. It's cool. It's cool. Yeah, Nami's so serious. You guys are so funny. No, she's really cute. I think she's just super nervous. I think that's what it is. She's not that serious when you're just seeing her in person for sure. Anyways, we're going to take a look at the blue team and red team's website just one more time before we get back into the code. And then that is going to be the last time we're going to look at the website. And I do that all the time because I want it to be a surprise during the voting phase. So let's go ahead and open the blue team's website. So this is the blue team's website. They didn't get the scroll wheel working. I'm trying to scroll left and right. I mean up and down, and it's not scrolling. But I am able to use this, luckily. Check it out. They're working on that back side. They just still have it kind of flipped over. So they're working on that. 5 minutes and 20 seconds, guys. Not very much time. What about these? Oh, the next and previous button works. All they need to do is make that a position fix or something so that you can always access that. And then I think it'd be more practical. Other than that, cool. Good job, blue team so far. What about the red team? Let's see what's going on here. Alright, so red team, I think they're doing a fantastic job. The only thing that they need to make sure that they pull off here in 4 minutes and 40 seconds is that they get this to be a side-scrolling website. I mean, that's one of the biggest objectives, I would say, here. About the entire site. So hopefully they're able to pull that off. I mean, it is a combination between not just JavaScript but CSS as well to accomplish that. Let's go back over to the code. Gonna make sure my puppy is okay, so one sec. Alright, she's pretty cool. So we have 3 minutes and 20 seconds. Alright, so I think this is just enough time to review both blue and red. Let's start over here on the HTML on the blue team. So if we notice, the team still has you know, static information here on both. Well, sorry, on just in their article in general. Like they have just all this static info. And I don't see anything drastically different in here. Yeah, I would say it's pretty much the same since we last seen. We did see that, I mean, Potato did fix that doc type error that we saw in the very beginning of the game. What about the CSS? Let's see what he's currently working on here. Still nothing in the query, immediate query. That's fine. What about... There's this cursor. So currently Mr. Dude is working on that previous ID. And, well, he's working on the button hover animation. So essentially what he's wanting to do is make it so that when you hover over the button, you are going to get a cool little animation or something. So that's awesome. But it does look like, since he is using left and right on this next and previous button, that he did make that, yeah, position fixed. Beautiful. So altogether, this all relates to the button. And if we scroll down in the HTML, you can see here, right there, that is what we're working on. We made those position fix, and that way they're always on the screen so that you can see. As far as the JavaScript is concerned, one of the biggest things we're waiting on was the ability to scroll left and right with the mouse wheel. And, you know, I don't see anything in here that actually allows that to happen. Actually, I lied. Up here we have the whole scroll thing, and if I'm looking at the Blue Team's website right now live on my other monitor, and I can tell you right now it is somewhat working. It's not perfect. I mean, it's somewhat glitchy, to be honest, but it is working somewhat. Now let's look at the Red Team's website, and by the way, we have 37 seconds left on the clock. Please count down with me when we get to 10 seconds. Really quickly, I'm going to examine that the Red Team's HTML does not have very much in there because it's all dynamic. Red Team's CSS is all the way down to 153 lines of code. That's pretty impressive. All right, here we go. Mods, count down with me. We're at 15 seconds. All right, and 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. GG. Game is over. I'm actually quite curious to see who won. I mean, you know, I personally haven't been keeping track of what objectives they've been completing during the game. I kind of wanted to, you know, subconsciously not pay attention to that until the end, and here we are. And I'm kind of getting an idea of how delayed the stream is based off of your comments right now in the chat. So before we get into, you know, reviewing both websites, I think what I want to recommend to you guys who are watching at the moment, if you're watching and you don't have a Twitch account, please register on Twitch. It only takes a minute or less, and that way you're able to actually, you know, not only participate in betting, but you can also, you know, participate in the chat. Also, you can vote on which team has the best design and which team has the best functionality and all kinds of other future plans that we have, but you have to have an account in order to do so. You also earn dev bits by just sitting here in the chat and watching DevWars. Alright, so we're going to be going over the Blue Team's website first. So let's start with the Blue Team. Keep in mind, we are going to be voting on design. Alright, so starting with the Blue Team's website, let's go off. So they have objective number 1, have your website scroll left and right only using the mouse scroll wheel. And so I am scrolling up and down on that mouse scroll wheel and nothing is happening, unfortunately, so they do not get objective number 1. Objective number 2, load at least 20 unique articles from any news website in 2 rows and style it in a square format. So now if I look at their JavaScript, it does look like they are indeed pulling data from their Reddit, so that's good. You know, Reddit titles and stuff. So that's good. And then they need 20 unique articles, so okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yep. We multiply that by 2. So they did complete objective number 2. Blue team. Mods, please follow along with me on that mod panel. Just update that blue team did complete objective number 2. Now we're going to go over objective number 3. Hovering over a news article makes it flip around in 3D, showing a backside. Alright, so someone pointed out they are not square. I think it's fine. You know, it's not that big of a deal. I think they still overall accomplished the overall essence of what we're trying to accomplish on objective number 2. So we're not going to penalize them for that. If we're being completely specific, yes, it was supposed to be a square, but I'm going to make the overall decision and say that's totally fine on the blue team. Objective number 3, hovering over a news article makes it flip around in 3D, showing a backside. So when I hover over, technically, I would even say that they did complete objective number 3. I mean, it's not perfect, but yeah, I would say they completed objective number 3. Objective number 4, style every 5th article element from the rest. If we see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, there we go. That is different. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That is different. Yeah. Okay. So they did. So he completed objective number 4, and we're not even gonna look at objective number 5 because objective number 5 requires that they have completed all objectives. And if you look here, they only completed 3 objectives. The first objective they did not get because when I scroll left and right, you can see that you can't scroll left and right using the scroll wheel, so we're not going to look at that. However, I should note that they did actually get the arrow key working, though. I mean, it works great. It's just that we can't count it. Alright, now we're going to look at the red team's website. We did look at the blue team's already. Now it's the red teams. So red team, objective number 1, have your website scroll left and right only using the mouse scroll wheel. So I am scrolling up and down, and it looks like we don't have that ability here on the red team's website. Alright, so they don't get that point for that. Objective number 2, load at least 20 unique articles from any news website in 2 rows and style it in square format. Okay, so it doesn't look like they have it in rows. You know, it's actually quite confusing here. I mean, I can see that these are all the same. Any images that we see that are the same, it looks like they all share the same title. I would say that they did not complete objective number 2. We're just gonna declare that they did not complete it. They did pull it dynamically, but I would say they're kind of not precise on it, as close as blue team was on it. So they did not get objective number 2. Let's look at objective number 3. Hovering over a news article makes a flip around, showing a 3D around in 3D, showing a backside. It looks like they did get that taken care of. So red team did complete objective number 3. Now looking at objective number 4, style every 5th article different from the rest. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then the 5th. I mean, okay, technically they did do it. I mean, it's not the way I imagined they would do it, but technically I would say they did it. So objective number 4, red team did complete. Okay, so just to clarify, the reason why I did not give the point for objective number 2 is not necessarily because there were not enough unique articles, but because mostly the whole the rows was a big thing to me. That was the major thing. You know, the overall website was supposed to scroll left and right, and It's very difficult to see where the rows are here on this website because everything is, you know, the whole website scrolls up and down. So I had to discredit red team for that. So it looks like red team or blue team is ahead by 1 point only. So it is currently 3-2. Right now, we're going to go back over to the blue team now. And we're going to go ahead and review the design. So we're going to be voting on design. And so if you look at the blue team's website, you can see that we have this header up here at the top. And it is a bit elongated here. I mean, you can only see this title right here, Modern News of Modernness, when you scroll to the exact center of the site. Other than that, you're not going to see anything up until that point. So I think these are things to consider for design. Now, if you look at the cards, you can see that when you hover over these, it is somewhat glitchy in the sense that when you hover over it, it doesn't work all the time, but sometimes it does. And when it does work, the backside of the other side of the card, it shows the text flipped horizontally, so it's not necessarily legible unless you can read backwards. So that's something to keep in mind. That is related to design. As we go along, we can see that we did include images. We were able to style the website so that it only goes left and right. If you notice, we did try to add like this little cute little scroll down here, custom scroll, but they weren't able to get it to work, it seems, at least as far as I can tell. So yeah, I mean, yeah, that's the blue team's website. So keep that in mind. We're going to look at the red team's website now. Red team's website, when you hover over each of these, it looks like their flip animation is working quite seamlessly. I mean, and also another thing that they have going on here is that their article title is showing correctly. Their title is always centered. Now, one thing to note about the red team's website is they don't have it styled like the blue team where it should be left and right, but it scrolls up and down like a typical website. They weren't able to get that in here, but they do have quite a bit of unique articles in here, so that's pretty cool. These were supposed to be the previous and next buttons, but you can see that obviously these are unnecessary because they weren't able to get it to scroll left and right. But as you guys can see, if I scroll up and down here, this is essentially what the red team's website looks like. Let's go ahead and throw up the design vote. So go ahead and vote on which team has the best design by typing in exclamation point blue or exclamation point red. So vote blue or red in the chat and watch as the votes accumulate on the screen here. So which team has the best design? So we are looking currently at the red team, and now we're gonna switch on over to the blue team. Oh, sorry. Hang on, that's not the blue team. This is the blue team. So this is the blue team's website we're looking at now, and you can see this is what it looks like. And let's go back over to the red. This is what the red team's website looks like. Keep your votes coming in, guys. We do have a time limit on these votes, so make sure you get it in before the time limit is up. Again, what I want to point out on the blue team is that they did get the left and right working. Their flip isn't as smooth as the red team. If we look at the red team, you can see that the red team, again, hang on. This is the red team. They did have a smoother look, but they didn't have the whole left and right scroll going on here. So you have to scroll up and down. Looks like we have 10 seconds left, and there we go. It is over. Blue team did win on that design phase. So 42 votes to blue and 9 votes to red. So that means blue scored 2 points there. Let's go ahead and see how much red team or blue team can score on functionality now. So I'm going to go over blue team one more time real quick, and we're going to specifically look at functionality now. And all functionality means is that I always relate functionality to UX. So if you were to personally be using this website, how would you feel as far as how usable it is? So right off the bat, when I'm scrolling on the website, you can see that nothing happens. I have to actually scroll left and right, so that's something to consider here on the blue team's website. You actually have to manually drag this in order to actually get anywhere on the site. When you scroll over or hover over, I mean, this is quite of a design thing, but I mean, I would kind of even throw that into UX, but it is up to you on how you vote on this. Again, I recommend you open this up in your own browser, but when you hover over these, you can see, you know, backside is it's not as smooth. I don't see the left and previous button here anywhere. They used to have one, but I don't see it here. But other than that, it looks like that is it. Oh, check it out. I zoomed out a little bit. Okay, that was a design issue. They didn't get it on the screen, but check it out. I zoomed out a little bit, and you can see they have this previous and next button, and when I click it, it goes left and right. So check it out. That works pretty good. But again, it was invisible when I was in 100% view screen. Let's take a look at the red team site now. So on the red team site, I want to mention that they don't have a left and right scroll. However, their flip works phenomenally perfectly. I know that's like a weird way to say it, but it works great. There's no bugs like the blue team on the whole hover. Each article is being loaded uniquely. So each of these unique images are unique articles that are being pulled from Reddit, such as blue team. They did that as well. Now, they didn't have its scroll left and right. They also, when I zoom out, I mean, I don't even have to zoom out to know that these buttons are here, actually. And when I click them, nothing happens, so we don't even have that working. Okay, let's go back to the blue. They're telling me to close the console. Okay, so I did close the console, and now I'm able to see it. Beautiful. So technically, it's not their fault for that. Generally, when I have the console open so that I'm able to scroll up and down, because generally you're not able to see the bottom of the page unless I have that console open because of the excess on the bottom of the page. But since they considered my viewport, I think I'm not going to count that against them. Other than that, let's throw up the functionality vote now. You guys have seen both blue and red. Go ahead and vote blue exclamation point blue or exclamation point red on which team you think has the best functionality. Also relate functionality to user experience. If you were to personally use this website, how would you feel you know, about just navigating through it? So I'm looking at the red team site now, navigating through this. Scroll works fine. Now going back over to the blue team site, scroll doesn't work, but we have these next and previous buttons that work good, and I could go left and right. gonna skip the song though. Alright, and then we're gonna go back over to the red. And we have these articles. I would say the biggest highlight about the red team's website is that, you know, when you hover over these cards, you can see that it works a lot smoother than the blue team's. That's one of the biggest things to highlight about the red team, and the fact that it is legible. We have not too much time left. We have 30 seconds left on the clock to vote on the functionality. It looks like blue has just barely crossed that threshold there, enough to give them that 2 points. If it was between those two lines, then both teams would get 1 point, which would render it a tie in a sense, technically. Oh, check it out. We have 10 seconds unless someone votes for blue right now. It's going to be 1-1. And voting is over. Wow, that's just 1 point away from being 2 points on the blue team. That's pretty crazy, but we had enough love on the red team in order for that to in order for blue to let off a little bit there. So voting is closed. I think it's quite obvious to know that blue team did win. Let's go over to the score panel now. You can see that blue team has 6 points and red team had 3. Congratulations, red team. So Potato, Mr. Dude 12, and a Timmer, you guys all did a fantastic job. Congratulations, salutes to all of you. Also, red team, congratulations on, you didn't win, but you guys did an awesome job just sticking through and doing your best.